And here we are with Jack Blades from Night Ranger. Jack, thanks so much for being here with us.
Absolutely, absolutely. Anything for Cleveland.
Cleveland loves you, Jack. You and Night Ranger and Damn Yankees.
Cleveland rocks.
I caught your current tour at the Hard Rock Rocksino last month. An amazing show. It's like a greatest hits package on steroids. But you guys aren't settling for just playing the hits. You're still cranking out new music like this year's Don't Let Up album. What's behind your continued drive to create new records?
With Night Ranger, we're always, it's always about, we just want to keep creating. I mean, I have a philosophy that once you stop creating, stop using your mind, stop thinking, stop working, stop creating, whatever it is, that's when you start like shriveling up and dying inside, like we're sharks. We just got to keep swimming. Sharks, if they stop swimming, they die. So it's like, we're just going to keep creating music and touring until until someone says we can't do it anymore. But so far, everyone says we can still do it. So we feel very fortunate.
And you are still doing it. The album, and it's been out for a couple of months now, I believe. But I've been listening to it. It's vintage Night Ranger. It's fantastic. What?
We just loved. We tried to make a record. We tried to make a record that was more like our live show, like what you saw. We just ended up our whole tour, the whole 35-year anniversary tour. Basically, we ended up the last show was the Cleveland show with you guys. So it was very exciting to be at that show, sold out, and the people just going crazy, and it was so much fun.
I could tell you guys are having fun on stage. It was amazing. It's not something you often see in concerts where everybody's having so much fun on stage and having a great time.
We're one of those rare bands that we all still like each other. It's like a good thing, as opposed to like can't stand each other and like hate it and we play and then roll. You know what I mean? It's like not with us. We all actually enjoy each other's company, which really makes it great.
Yeah, I mean, 35 years, what's kept you guys going and together through all the highs and the lows of the journey?
Well, I think that, for us, it's all about the music. It's all about creating and all about the music. And, a good song will be a good song forever. And Night Ranger, we always had, really good, we focused on songs. Like if, every time I'd bring a song in or something, it'd be like, if or whoever brought it in with the band, whatever song it would be, it was like if you can't get the song across by strumming it on an acoustic guitar and singing the chorus, then it's not really a great song. It's not like, oh, okay, now imagine the big strings coming in here and a big guitar thing here and a this and that. No, if you can't make the song out and make it, if it's not a great song with just a, verse and a chorus singing with an acoustic guitar, then it's not, it's not a good song. And you know what? I think persistence, pays off. I mean, Night Ranger, when we first started out, we got passed on by every record company in the country, probably twice, back in 1980 and 81. And finally, one guy, gave us a shot, and the next thing we know, we were selling millions of records. So it's like persistence pays off, and I think that's probably the key with Night Ranger. Even today is like we just keep we keep drilling at it and we keep going at it and everything like that, and just keep punching at it, and we just keep doing that. And I think that's the secret of what's going on with us.
The secret of your success, if you will.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, right. No pun intended.
Yeah, sorry. That was the meatball over the plate. Had to swing for it.
Right.
When you got that first shot, did you ever in your wildest dreams imagine it would last 35 years and going?
I mean, that's crazy. I mean, I remember our first show in Cleveland was at the Agora,
Yep.
and it was in the dead of winter, and we were on a KISS tour. Like I think it was either in December of '82 or January of '83. I can't remember, but it was like one of those Agora $1.99 nights, and we were an unknown band at that time. Don't Tell Me You Love Me had just been released, and we were just on MTV and all that kind of stuff, and we did like I think a Sunday or a Monday night at the Agora, and I'm sure there were like 6 or 7. There were probably 15 people in the place. It was a snowstorm, a blizzard, and it was like our manager, his brother Gary Bird, and Kid Leo from MMS, and about 6 other people. I'm sure that was it. You know what I mean? And just we were commenting on that. Here we are, like 35 years later, from the release of the Dawn Patrol album, and sold out show at the Rocksino there in Cleveland again, and it's been a wild and crazy ride, and just we feel really fortunate that all these years later we're still out there just rocking and rolling.
Talking about Cleveland and the Night Ranger connection, you mentioned at the concert that Sister Christian broke out of Cleveland. How did that come about?
Exactly. The program director was like a fan of the bands and a friend of our record company president, who was from Cleveland. His name is Bruce Bird, and I can't remember that program director's name, but
John Gorman.
Anyway, he started playing Gorman. Yeah, it was Gorman. He started playing Gorman. That's exactly who it was, and he started playing Sister Christian. And suddenly it broke. That basically broke the song across the country. At that time, MMS was a very influential station in the country, and people would look at their playlist, see what was like hitting hard and what was going, and then they'd jump on it. And Gorman, gave Sister Christian a shot, and the next thing we know, it was like a huge, big record all across the country. So really, we feel that Night Ranger broke out of Cleveland, Ohio.
Well, the fans definitely have a lot of love for Night Ranger, as I saw at the concert. And another moment from Friday night that got a huge reaction was when you gave a shout-out to Northeast Ohio native and your former Damn Yankees bandmate, Michael Cartellone.
Yeah, right. It was the Damn Yankees. It was a great band. I remember one time we were on tour with the Damn Yankees, one of the tours that we did, and I think we hit Ohio 6 times on one tour. It was like, what? We played Cleveland twice. We played it in the winter. Then we came back and played it in the summer. We played it 3 times. Then we came back and played it in the following fall. It was like nuts. And we played Akron. We played Toledo. We played, like Columbus. Literally, we played 6 times on one, like 1 year. We played 6 times in Ohio with the Damn Yankees. It was pretty amazing.
Did you just dub that leg the Cartellone Homecoming Tour?
Yeah, we dubbed it the Ohio Homecoming Tour. You know what I mean? Exactly. Yeah. Like Michael Cartellone's parents' tour.
How did Michael, and I'm using his words here, a self-described skinny kid from Cleveland, end up with you, Tommy, and Ted?
Well, it was, it was pretty funny. It was when I quit Night Ranger in 1989. We all decided to go our separate ways. It was just getting crazy and everything like that, and so I decided to leave the band, and about 5 days later, a friend of mine who ran Geffen Records, John Clodner, he was a famous A&R guy, he called me up and said he had Ted Nugent and Tommy Shaw working on songs in New York City, and something was missing, and he thought maybe I'd be the missing link. So really, Geffen Records flew me to New York. I ended up on Tommy Shaw's doorstep. He lived at that time on the Brownstone on the Upper West Side. In New York City, and I just ended up there, and Tommy and I became fast friends, and Ted came in, and we're like, well, let's put this thing together, and Tommy said, well, I know this drummer dude that's like in New York now, and he did a couple shows with me on some solo stuff. His name's Michael Cartellone, and so we said, well, why don't you just bring him in while the 3 of us kind of jam, and we'll just use him as a drummer just to see how it goes. So we grabbed, Michael was in New York not doing anything at the time. And so when the 3 of us, Tommy, Ted, and myself got together, we grabbed Michael as the drummer just to, tap along, see what could, we didn't think anything about it. And just Michael fit right in. He was very, very easygoing, very quick, picked up things really fast. Ideas we'd throw at him, he could play them. Any kind of idea that you throw down, like, can you do this, this, and this with this one? Yeah, no problem. And boom, he'd do it. He kept his mouth shut. He didn't say a lot. You know what I mean? While Ted and Tommy and I were figuring out if we hated each other or liked each other and all that kind of stuff. And so the next thing you know, we said, okay, let's make a demo. And it's like, well, we might as well use Michael. He knows the songs. So we grabbed Michael. And then it was like, okay, and the next thing you know, we had a record deal, and it's like, well, we got Michael. Michael knows the songs. Let's just have him be the drummer. There wasn't a bunch of auditions or anything. There's a couple guys we looked at before. I think that Tommy and I, when we were out west, we had a couple drummers come over, but nobody could, we were so familiar, and so it was so easy with Michael, and everything like that there was no drama, there was no, hassle, there was no anything, there was no getting to know it, there was no nothing. It was just super, super easy, and he would do anything that we needed him to do and play anything we needed him to play. And so when the whole thing just came down, we went, well, we'll just have Michael be in the band. So it was really like, that was it. He was just always going to be the drummer.
And you guys, you, Ted and Tommy, all had really established careers at that point and hits in your own right. So you got this new kid with no public resume, so to speak of. What did he add to the band since he hadn't been in the label part of the industry?
Well, I think what he added was what there was no there was no preconceived notions on, I mean, with Ted and Tommy and I, like you said, we had our things. We had, Night Ranger and Styx and, Ted Nugent and all that kind of stuff. And everybody played the way they played, and everybody did this the way they did this. And if we brought in another drummer, he'd, some drummer would probably like, hey, I'll play more like what Ted would like as a basher. Or I'll play more like what Jack would think it would be cool. And, like, should I play more Night Rangers? Michael didn't do that. Michael played what we wanted the songs to be represented as, not as a as a Night Ranger style song or a Ted Nugent style song or a Styx style song. In other words, Tommy and Ted and I started creating this music that was completely and wholly its own entity, the Damn Yankees. And what Michael added was a freshness and an exuberance, because he was this young kid that would just get on the drums and just smash and kick ass. And there was no, he didn't try to, there was no preconceived like how it should be played or something. Michael just like wailed on it the way we wrote the song. And that just brought the songs. And I think at that point that helped create the Damn Yankees sound, as opposed to like, gee, they sound like Styx, or gee, they sound like Night Ranger, or gee, they sound like Ted Nugent. I mean, there's certain songs on that first record that everybody goes, well, sometimes they go, wow, it's kind of like a Nugent song or a Night Ranger song. Well, not really. I mean, I think they were all pretty much Damn Yankee songs. I think Michael had a lot to, the fact that we wrote them raw, and he just played them raw. He didn't play them with any preconceived notion of what they should sound like, and I think that helped forge the Damn Yankees sound.
One thing about Michael is he's very passionate about his hometown here and its reputation in the rock world. Even in your Don't Tread on Me video, he's wearing an Indians jersey. When you guys were on the road, what was the general vibe about Cleveland in your circle?
Night Ranger broke out of Cleveland, so I had like lots of love for Cleveland from the very get-go, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so just the fact that Mikey was from Cleveland was, just fine with me. And him wearing like, a Chief Wahoo shirt or something like that, or a Cleveland Indian shirt or something was, I'd have no issues with it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because Cleveland to me was always, was Cleveland, the city in Ohio, the state that helped break the career of Night Ranger. So I always had a fondness in my heart for Cleveland. And with Michael, it was either he was going to wear a Cleveland shirt or he was going to dress up like Peter Criss of Kiss, because he's a huge Kiss fan, or he was going to be like Bob's Big Boy, which is like, the three of his favorite, looks. Yeah. Either that or the Stay Puft, Stay Puft thing from Ghostbusters. And we didn't want him to dress up like any of those, so it was okay to have a Cleveland Indian shirt on.
So outside of that first appearance at the Agora, do you have any other favorite Cleveland concert memories?
Oh, there's just so many. Yeah. I mean, Jane Scott was a reviewer there, and she was a wonderful woman. She, started reviewing our show. I mean, she's an old... Man, she was ancient when Night Ranger first started out. You know what I mean? And I don't get it. But there she was backstage at every frickin' rock show, man, writing the review of the show. It was just unbelievable. And we'd always see her back there. And then with the Damn Yankees, like, we'd come to town and we'd be playing Blossom or Public Hall or wherever we played there, or the Coliseum. And it was like, there would be Jane Scott, and she's like, oh, do you remember that time you came out of the Aladdin's lamp in the little with Night Ranger? She always loved our Seven Wishes tour, where I'd we had this like Aladdin's lamp that opened up on stage, and we all kind of came out of it with a bunch of smoke and a puff, and and there was the Seven Wishes and all that kind of stuff. And she, every time I came to town with the Damn Yankees, she would always pull me aside and just get so excited about telling me that she remembered seeing me coming out of the Aladdin's lamp. I mean, we love Jane Scott, bless her heart. I mean, there's just so many, there's so many great Cleveland stories,
What would you consider the highlight of your career so far? Because it's not over.
That's a tough one, you know what I mean? I mean, just great to be a Night Ranger, and then it's great to turn right around and go into another band and sell millions of records, the Damn Yankees, and have such great success with the Damn Yankees. But I think one of the highlights of my life was, playing with Ringo Starr when I was asked to do. He did a VH1 Storytellers, and I was asked to be the bass player with him. And we went to England and filmed videos and rehearsed in the rehearsal halls, and filmed videos on a rooftop like they did when they did their last show, and the Beatles, and we did Leno, Letterman, and all those kind of shows and everything like that. And I think just kind of playing with the Beatles, that was probably one of my highlights. We were rehearsing in London, and I think it was like myself and Simon Kirk, the drummer from Bad Company, played drums also with us, with Ringo, and Joe Walsh was the guitarist, and we were all up there, and we were just screwing around, like playing Ticket to Ride, we were just like, ding, I think I'm gonna be, so I'm up there singing it, right? Mm-hmm. And we're just all kind of jamming on the song, and Ringo and Barbara Bach, Ringo comes walking in with his wife into the back of the hall, of the rehearsal hall, the room, and kind of looks around and sees us, and then all of a sudden here's what we're playing, and goes running up on stage and grabs his stick, and he's right directly over my right shoulder, starts playing drums, doom, ba, 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 da, 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 and there I'm singing Ticket to Ride, playing the bass, and looking over my right shoulder, and that's Ringo Starr playing the drums. And I'm like, I think at that point I had died and gone to heaven. It was like God saying, "Hey kid, you've done all right so far. I'm going to throw you a bone here. How about this one? A Beatle." You know what I mean? And so that was probably one of the highlights of my musical career, I got to tell you,
Is there, and maybe you hinted at this Friday night, but is there a particular, throughout your whole catalog, is there a particular song or maybe an album that you hold dear?
Well, there's two songs I think I hold dear, and, one's a Night Ranger song, and one's a Damn Yankees song. The Night Ranger song is When You Close Your Eyes, and I just really, really love that song. And, of course, there's two. There's another song called Goodbye that Night Ranger does. Those songs I really are my two favorite Night Ranger songs, even though I wrote Don't Tell Me You Love Me and Rockin' America and 4 in the Morning. It's like those two are probably, my two favorite Night Ranger songs. That When You Close Your Eyes, just because I remember writing the song and just sitting banging out the chorus, and this other guy telling me, "Hey man, you ought to put that on your record." And I'm like, I don't know, I'm working on it maybe. And the next, I just showed it to the guys and we just worked it up, and it, to me, it's one of my favorite songs. That and the song Goodbye, which was written, for my brother who died of a drug overdose, who I never had a chance to say goodbye to him. So that was, those two songs, probably Night Ranger songs, are my favorite. And then High Enough with Damn Yankees is really, just remember when Tommy and I wrote that thing, we were just sitting, up in his, in his place in New York, and I was downstairs in his basement doing laundry, like shoving my clothes into his, into the washing machine, going, "I don't want to hear about it, da 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 da." And Tommy's like upstairs, and he's like, "Hey man, what's that?" I'm like, "I don't know, just something I'm just screwing around with, just kind of a melody." And he said, "Come on upstairs." He got on the piano and started banging it out, and then he got on guitar, and we started singing. The next thing we know, like 30 minutes later, High Enough, the entire song was like written. It was one of those songs that came so quickly, and we're like, "Is this good? I think it's really good. Is this good? I think it's good. Is it good? It's not good. I don't know." We were like that with the song, but we're like, "I think this is really good. This is a real good song." And it just happened so quickly. And the good songs are the songs that just, they're effortless. It's almost like you're channeling when you write them. At least I've found that. And so, that for me, High, and then we went and showed it to Ted, and he said, "Well, here's what it needs." And it was like, in the chorus, and all that. And we're like, "Yep, that's just what it needs, Ted." We were afraid to even show him the song because we thought he'd think we were a bunch of, a couple of pussies and like, "What's this?" Or something like that. But we played it for him and he loved it. And so, the rest is history.
Looking back, is there anything you would change about the journey so far, from when you started all those years ago in California to now?
Nah, everything happens the way it should happen. It's all written. It's all preordained. You know what I mean? All we are is just floating through this life, and everything happens the way it's supposed to happen. It's like we were getting passed by every record company with Night Ranger, it was like, it seemed like forever, and it seemed like the most crushing thing that ever happened to us when everybody kept turning us down. And, but all it took is one guy to go, yeah, okay, I'll give you a shot, because we knew we could do what we could do. And, and the same thing with the Damn Yankees. I mean, we made all these demos with the Damn Yankees and for Geffen Records, and Geffen Records, John Clodner played for his promotion staff, and they said, we'll never get these songs played on radio. That was the quote. And the songs were, High Enough, Coming of Age, Come Again. I mean, it was like that, and Clodner, bless his heart, he's such a great guy. He always said that was the biggest mistake I ever made, listening to those promotion guys, because the rest, we sold millions off those records. So, it was like we got passed on, even the Damn Yankees with Ted Nugent, Tommy Shaw, and Jack Blades, even the Damn Yankees, like, we had to prove ourselves, you know what I mean? So, when Geffen passed on us, Gary Bird from Cleveland, Ohio, Gary, whose brother was Bruce Bird, who was our manager at the time, who was from Cleveland, Ohio. Gary and I went in. I had a friend that knew Michael Austin, whose son. He was son of Mo Austin, the head of Warner Brothers Records, and Michael was in the A&R department. So right after we were passed on by Geffen, we walked in and played those songs for. We started playing. We played Coming of Age with the A&R staff, with Michael Austin in there at Warner Brothers, and then we played. It's so funny. We played High Enough, and right after the chorus, Michael Austin just turns around, stops the tape, and says, "Have your lawyer call me in the morning." That was it. All he had to do was hit that chorus of High Enough, and he went, "Yep, okay. Just who's your attorney? Have your attorney call us. Let's get this thing going," and that was it. And I'm still pitching at it, and Gary Bird gets up and goes, I'm like, and yeah, we can do this, and we have Ted, and Gary goes, thank you, Michael, okay, we'll see you later. And, we walk out the door, and Gary's like, shut the fuck up, will you? You got it. Don't oversell it. It's fine. Don't, just shut up. Come on. He said, have your lawyer call. Relax. I remember that as if it was yesterday, so it was pretty crazy.
Unfortunately, because it will happen, as it does for everybody, when the music stops and you look back on your career, what's the one thing you'll treasure most?
I think that the one thing I'll treasure most is a letter I received from some young man, some kid. I think it was a guy. I'm pretty sure it was a guy back in Night Ranger days where he said that he was thinking about doing, the most terrible thing he could ever do in your life is kill himself or something. Things weren't going right. It was with this or that or the other. I don't know what the exact specifics were, but he was thinking about, just ending it all. And then he listened to a Night Ranger record and listened to some of my songs that I'd written, some of the lyrics, and that changed his life, and that turned him around and, stopped him from doing what would have been the biggest mistake he ever could have done in his life. And I think that when it's all said and done, it's things like that, the lives that we've touched, that I've touched with my songs and that we've touched with our music. I think that's the lasting greatest thing that I could give, that maybe in some small way, I made this world a little bit of a better place with my music, with my song, with the songs I wrote and the music I played and the bands that I've been in. And I just, I think that when it's all said and done is, to me, the most gratifying and the most important thing.
Well, you've certainly left a lasting impact on fans far and wide over the years, and will continue to do so for a long time to come. Speaking of which, what's next for you?
Oh, I don't know. Celebrate our 36th year.
What are you? Yeah,
year, right?
Right. Yeah, but you're heading back on the road, right?
Yeah, exactly. Start January 22nd, man. Come on, play some shows. We'll just keep going and just keep playing, and maybe we'll make some new material. Maybe I'll make another solo record. Maybe I'll do another. There's so much stuff going on. I'm kicking in my radio show again. There's so much to do, and life is so great. I moved to an island above Seattle, and I'm loving every minute of my life, and things are good. So, it's the sky's the limit, basically. And that's the way I always have looked at life, and that's the way I always will continue to do so.
Jack, thanks so much for the time today. Happy holidays to you and everyone in the Night Ranger family.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
All right, Matt. Well, Merry Christmas to you, my friend.
You too, sir. Thank you again for the time, and we'll look forward to seeing you back in Cleveland, hopefully in the not-too-distant future.
Absolutely.